Disney, with United Technologies. Is Mansfield run as efficiently as United Technologies? Not a chance in hell. Not a chance. And they're going to have a tough time for a while until these municipalities actually can compete with corporate America for your retirement dollar. That is one of the unintended consequences that is going to catch these guys by surprise. In the end, it's good for the taxpayers. But in the interim, whew, it's going to be fun. Yes, sir?
The government budget increases every year.
Yes, sir.
This flat tax, you start out at 23%.
Fair tax.
Fair tax.
Very different from the flat income tax.
Fair tax.
Okay.
23%.
Yes, sir.
The escalator on that, is the poverty level determined before or after the tax?
The poverty level is determined before the tax, and that's recalculated annually.
Okay, so the budget goes up, that 23%, can we assume goes up as well?
There's
inflation.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. You're talking about the budget goes up. Okay. Expense of the government, size of the government, etc. Okay. I've been doing this for 19 years, and I'll give these speeches, and there's always an activist in the room who also wants me to get rid of the Federal Reserve. And there's always an activist in the room who also wants me to redo and handle all of the Social Security problems. And I tell them right up front, look guys, you know, I've been at this 19 years at my own expense, just handling the income tax. That's enough for me. If you want to do the Federal Reserve, great, I'll be there for you. And if you want to do Social Security reform, great, I'm there for you. But this is all I'm doing. The federal government is only going to keep going up and out of control if we keep electing the same kind of people to Washington, D.C. And by that, I mean Tom DeLay, conservative Republican of Texas, just as much as I mean Nancy Pelosi. If we keep electing these same kind of people, yes, the budget's going to keep going up. There's nothing I can do about that. You can't legislate around it. You can't put it in the Constitution. That is our fault for electing people who do this, as far as the budget's concerned. Now, will they try and raise the rate, I think is the second half of your question. And the answer is absolutely they will try and raise the rate. It'll start out at a revenue neutral 23 cents out of every dollar you spend, and then they'll want 24 cents out of every dollar you spend. And then they'll want, oh, it's just a quarter, it's just 25 cents. There's no question that they'll do that. Let me do this, and then I'll be with you. In Federalist 21, in 1787, Alexander Hamilton wrote that the signal advantage of a consumption tax is there comes a point where the consumer says, enough, I won't play the game anymore. So even though government raises the rate of the tax, the revenues fall. Now, a lot of people think that's Reaganomics. A lot of people, Bush 1 called that voodoo economics. No, this was Alexander Hamilton observing an absolute axiom of taxation in 1787. He wrote about it in Federalist 21. Go Google it. It's all there to be seen. The best thing about a consumption tax, the reason they put it in the Constitution, is the only legal way for the federal government to raise taxes is they knew it was self-limiting, and that government would have to keep the rate modest to enhance economic activity, so that the growth in economic activity brought more revenues into the government. And that, and grassroots activism, not electing idiots to Congress, is the only way we're going to change the way things are. Did I answer all the questions? Good. Yes, sir?
Following up on this question of increased budget, increasing efficiency being as they are,
yes, sir.
and wanting more revenue, you have to have a mechanism that prevents the fair tax from growing into that value-added tax, which would artificially inflate the purchase price,
sure,
of which you pay the fair tax.
Sure.
That would be a way of raising revenue. It would have, from the politician's point of view, it would be an unknown tax to the consumer.
An invisible tax.
An invisible tax.
Right.
And it would satisfy their need for a bigger budget. So that would defeat you'd almost need a constitutional amendment that prohibits the
that you're going to wear, drive, eat, get your teeth fixed up and made pretty, bleached at your dentist, those sorts of things. That's retail, and that is the only place it's collected. There'll be no hidden taxes back behind your dentist office. There'll be no hidden taxes anywhere else. I'll be right there. No other taxes then. That's the difference between Europe's VAT, everybody else's VAT, and the national retail sales tax. It's not a VAT. We are working on a parallel piece of, it's not legislation because it's not signed by the president, to repeal the 16th Amendment and put the Constitution back. There is no movement to make a VAT unconstitutional, and it really would take a constitutional amendment because a VAT is legal under the Constitution as written. Yes, sir.
What you've just done is that having a whole range of taxes on services are not taxed.
True.
Medical care is not taxed, architectural engineering services are not taxed. State of Connecticut is looking to tax some of these right now. So what happens is instead of products, there's going to be trying to tax everything else under the sun, and services, and what happens to the gasoline tax and the utility tax, and the telecommunications tax are already there.
Okay, so part of that was you're going to tax services. The answer is yes. Now, you implied that that might be more complex to tax services in your question. And I would argue I have repealed personal income tax, gift estate taxes, capital gains, alternative minimum, earned income tax credit, Social Security, Medicare, self-employment, and corporate taxes. And now I've said, yes, you're going to have to pay tax on the plumber when he comes to fix your toilet. Okay? I think I've given you a reasonable trade-off there. Okay.
You want to buy a five, tax.
Mm-hmm.
So many of these services, you don't write a check, billing, professional services, invoices go out. If that, for some reason, doesn't get paid, you still are a guarantor to the government to pay that tax. You have to go after the deadbeat guy to try to collect the tax, which you can't do. Instead of Connecticut has done that, and we end up being tax collectors for the state of Connecticut.
Okay, what you said was it's hard to collect if the guy doesn't pay the tax. Like you may pay the tax to the guy, but he doesn't then pay it to the state of Connecticut.
You invoice, the state of Connecticut forces you, the service provider, to pay the Connecticut tax.
Right.
Even though you didn't get the check from the original.
So you never got paid by the person you delivered the services to?
Yeah, you get the guarantor to the state of Connecticut.
Okay, so the fair tax bill does not require you as the service provider who never got paid by the deadbeat homeowner to pay the tax. It's only if you receive the money do you pay the tax. So under the fair tax, you got to get paid before the money is owed. Now, well, Connecticut, you ought to think about who you're elected to your state legislature the same way you think about who you're electing to Congress. Yes, we're going to start collecting a tax on services. Yes, there'll be a little more complexity to that. I'm here to tell you as a small businessman who owned an advertising agency, who delivered consulting services that weren't taxable, and delivered tangible products like business cards that were taxable. If you take away personal, gift, estate, capital gains, and give me this sales tax, please, please throw me in that briar patch. I can handle it. Please give me the most complex sales tax on the planet, and I am still way ahead as a small businessman of where I was. What happens to 200,000 accountants? So first of all, let's talk about the Internal Revenue Service. Okay, so I'm told that I'm in a liberal part of Connecticut where people might be concerned about the careers of all of those hard-working people in the federal government. If you're really concerned about them, send them across the street to the Department of Homeland Security and they can chase terrorists for the rest of their career